from the Figure 4 Online Studios in beautiful Bothell, Washington, exclusively at WrestlingObserver.com. You're listening to the Bryan and Vinny Show with your hosts, Bryan Alvarez and Big Vinny V.
Just get started today, and Rob's already all befuddled. And furthermore, you don't have a mic today, Rob. It's not going to be back until next week.
Oh,
we were missing some connectors.
Rob, if you text me, I will read what you have to say.
So Vinny's going to be in charge of the fantasy football report this week.
All right. Believe it or not, Brian, I actually have the scoreboard right in front of me.
I'm flabbergasted.
One in a row.
I'm flabbergasted because I sat down to do the show, and as soon as I sat down, you stood up and left.
Had to pee.
Craig can vouch for this. I got up to use the bathroom, and at the exact same time I stood up, you closed the door to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because there's 47 bathrooms in this house, but you choose to use the one closest to the studio.
Okay.
So the point being, Brian, I would have been sitting down when you came in here, but you used my bathroom.
Well, I figured the 10 minutes that I was putting the child down, you could have gone then.
I was waiting until right before the show.
Is that your child?
Okay, so you did wait till right before the show.
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
Is that your child putting down shirt right there?
She goes in the shirt.
I see.
Yes.
It's a nice blouse.
It's a baby carrying shirt.
got
It's not a
pocket.
blouse. It's not used for breastfeeding.
Uh-huh.
It's not fashionable.
Well, not
Craig.
yet.
That is fashionable. Okay, anyway,
Doesn't
can we
matter.
get going
Go
on
ahead.
this thing?
I apologize for derailing the show.
So as I recall, it was Mike Sempervive was the lineal champion of fantasy
Yeah.
football here. And his team, the Takata Monster Army, went up against Team Dirt Sheets, managed by Josh Nason. And for the first time this year, suffered a defeat by a very narrow margin.
Nason beat Sempervive?
Did.
Wow.
115.7 to 113.9. Less than 2 points. Separated the two. Oh, I have a text here.
Oh my god, Rob's supposed to be switching the cameras here. He's busy texting.
Don't you worry about it.
Was it on all three of us while I'm messing with the computer?
As far as you know.
Okay.
On behalf of my client, producer Rob, not only did I do what I said I would do and thrash Filthy Tom for the win this week, I had the highest score in the league.
Wow. You're still not the champion. Okay. So what's next week?
Well,
Nason's the champion.
Nason's schedule then, don't I?
Is it Nason versus Filthy?
I think so.
My
I
God.
hit the wrong button. Hang on. Week
This is booked
7.
so much better than the WWE draft, which is a low bar. But you realize that on Tuesday, wait a second, we're out of time. Tom won't have time.
No.
Well, doesn't matter. Nason faces Tommy Dreamer this week.
Oh, Tommy Dreamer.
The other Tom.
What is this cat doing?
Did you feed the cats?
Yes, they just ate.
Oh, they're lonely.
Look.
Wow.
I have another text.
Good.
I have another text to read to fill this time. On behalf of my client, producer Rob.
Yeah.
That said, according to Tom, I am going to pay for it the next time I'm on the mat with him. How often are you on the mat with Tom?
Not very often.
Not very often at all.
They did threaten to come to town.
He's never been on the mat with Tom.
Yeah.
You know who has been on the mat with Tom?
Who has been on the mat with Tom?
Me and Wang.
Oh, how'd Wayne do?
Yeah. Hey, he got killed.
How'd you do?
Better than Wang.
Fair enough.
He got mutilated. But anyway, the point of this is, that's two people I know are not cowards.
Oh. The gauntlet has been thrown down.
Sure has.
I told Tom.
Sure has.
He said, "Do you want to do it this week?" And I said, "Sure."
Must we have a conversation when your mic isn't working?
Do you know how microphones and the lack thereof work?
Yes. Yes.
I have my text device here right open. Anything
I'll
you
hear
want to
your...
say?
No, I don't want it. I want him switching the cameras. I want him doing his job.
I'm doing the job.
No one's watching. Who cares?
You're always doing the job.
Yes.
That's the gimmick.
Saw that coming.
All right, can we get going here?
WWF Monday Night Raw, October 16th of the year 2000. Eddie Guerrero comes out for a promo, and he may have gotten a great reaction last week, but boy, was he hated here. So he says he was tired of Chyna's crying and whimpering. She was just a pain in the ass. I'm the boss, he says. Yo soy el jefe. Which brings me to you, Mr. Ass.
He was so excited to talk about Mr. Ass. Were we just talking about this?
Only Eddie could have made this work.
Yes.
He threatens to kick Ass's ass. He calls out anyone who wants to fight him, be it Chris Jericho, Mr. Ass or Miss Floozy, which is his new name for China. But Jericho interrupted. Jericho outright said, this is the first time in a month Raw has not opened with a 20-minute interview segment. Let's fight. And he charged the ring, and the show was 6 minutes old when the bell rang. It was 6 minutes and 20 seconds old
when it rang again.
When it rang again.
You know, this relationship really went downhill fast.
I'll say.
They were so into each other. They were going to get married.
Yes.
He was doing everything he could to regain her love. Now it's just crashed and burned. All because of two hoes in the shower.
Mm-hmm. I love how he cheats on her and she's the floozy.
Yes. He's a heel and a hypocrite.
Right. A good one at that.
Well, anyway, so 20 seconds in, Jericho does a monkey flip, the reverse monkey flip, and Eddie lands on the back of his head and also apparently hurts his hamstring.
Yes.
He is clearly messed up, and as he rolls to the floor to try and collect himself, you can see he's also limping badly, and they throw him back in, and he tries to do something he can't even run, and the ref just says, fuck this, and he waves off the match.
Yeah, I thought he tore his hamstring, but it was just a hamstring pull, which was good news, but he was hurting bad, so they threw the match out.
No concussion?
No, it was his hamstring. That's why he grabbed his leg.
Thank you, Brian, but Jim Ross was saying that he looked like he was out.
No, he was fine.
He was fine. His head was fine.
He bonked his leg.
Yeah.
That's most of the issue.
So, X-Pac runs out and attacks Jericho. Mr. Ass makes the save. Or, as Jim Ross puts it, Mr. Ass has exploded on his old teammate X-Pac. Phrasing.
Fans went nuts for Mr. Ass.
They did.
They exploded on Mr. Ass.
They did, actually.
Yeah.
A limo arrives. Kurt Angle is there to greet Steph. He waves off whoever it was that was going to be there. Very happy to see her. She's going to be in his corner tonight, and she asks him to get her bag, and he jumps right at it.
I'm so over the storyline.
It's been a long time.
I do not ever want to see these people again. I hope they go away and never come back. But I got better.
It did.
It's ironic that I thought that at the time. But those were my thoughts.
Rikishi preparing for an interview with Jonathan Coachman. The M&M's replay is Rikishi's confession from last week. And then they cut to Rikishi, and he's sitting there with Coachman, looking all surly, and nothing happens. And finally he says, "You gonna ask me a question or not?" Fine start.
You know, as goofy as that was, I wrote this down almost word for word, but I will truncate it for everybody. The first question that Coachman asks is, what's the reaction been to you since you ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin? That's actually not a bad question.
Not at all.
Rikishi says, it's been great. Friends, family, they love it. They call me a visionary, a pioneer. I stood up for change. Remember when he had that gimmick? When he stood up for change?
I do remember
I'd forgotten that until right now.
Yes.
Make a difference, Fatu.
Make a difference, Fatu. I have been banned from Raw. I don't know why. Coach says, well, this is the same arena where you ran the guy over. He says, Foley isn't protecting me. He's protecting Stone Cold. I did what I did. I like it. I'm happy. I'd do it again. Coach says, you know, The Rock isn't happy. And he says, The Rock is just confused. He's cool with what I did because blood is thicker than water. Coach said, homeboy, you ran a man over. You ran a dude over. He says, yeah, who cares? Coach said, you almost ended his career. You have no remorse. Rikishi said, hell yeah, I have no remorse. I'd do it again. And if Stone Cold gets in my face, I'll slap him like the dog he is. This was so much better than last week. It still wasn't great. I would go as far as to say, I'll say it was pretty good. I don't know if I could go all the way to good, but it was an improvement. And Jonathan Coachman, this was like the best Coachman I ever saw. What is it about this company that just ruins everybody? Do you know how insufferable and horrible and wretched at his job the coach was by the time they finally got rid of this geek? Mm-hmm. The dirt worst bottom of the barrel. He was good here. Michael Cole was just a great backstage interview guy. They started him on commentary. He had some life. Now look at him. He's a parody of a bad pro wrestling announcer. He sucks. And he's on the A show right now. I just am flabbergasted. That was my take on this. They're wrestling at No Mercy, no holds barred. A weak build.
That's a strong build.
No, it's pretty weak.
It's a year in the making, dude.
It's a pun.
I know what you mean.
I thought this was a bad promo until like the last minute.
I don't think it was bad. It's fine.
The last minute, he caught fire. He's talking about, as you noticed, slapping Stone Cold down like the dog he is. This 400-pound Samoan will take care of Austin and No Mercy. You can take that to the bank. If they had just aired like the last minute, it would have been so much better. TNA go for a walk, and we get a highlight package from Heat.
Excuse me, a
Heat.
package?
And it was highlights, too. So, TNA were playing poker with the APA when they ran out of money. And so they were allowed to keep gambling if, instead of putting money into the pot, every time they lost, Trish had to remove an article of clothing. So she's down to just about nothing and about to take that off too, when the camera pans to Bradshaw and Farouk slack-jawed, and then Albert and Test attack them and destroy them and lay them out. So
Worth it.
What's funny about it is, it wasn't a bad little skit, but my God, did it lead to a bad match.
Yes.
oh my God. This thing. For like 30 seconds, it was like, this is a bunch of hosses, and they're working, but the crowd doesn't care. And like the longer it went, the worse it got. And soon, guys are falling all over each other, and like Test backs up and trips over Farouk on the ground. Farouk tries to save it by making it look like a schoolboy, and everyone's looking at each other and not sure where they're supposed to be. And finally, there's like a distraction finish with Bradshaw, and Albert hits the choke bomb. I thought, well, at least it's over. No! Farouk breaks up the pin and just keeps going.
Do you know what the problem with this tag division is in WWE, aside from like Edge and Christian and the Hardys? Which, by the way, when you think about the best matches of the Attitude Era, what do you think about? Edge and Christian and the Hardys and matches they had with the Dudleys, right?
Usually.
Okay, because in every one of these cases, you have a small dude or a skinny guy that can be sympathetic. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
The women scream for Edge and Christian when they're baby faces, but now they're heels. The women scream for the Hardys. They have so many Haas teams that you end up with matches where you have to get the heat on Farouk.
Yes.
You know how impossible it is to get heat and sympathy on Farouk?
100% here.
It's impossible. There was another tag match on this show where it's also like a bunch of big dudes, if I recall correctly. And it's like, how can anyone possibly care about getting heat on whoever? But anyway, yeah, nobody cared. They chanted boring. It sucked. And then finally,
it got
Bradshaw hit a lariat for the pin.
Yeah. We go backstage where Hunter and Steph are on their couch. Stephanie is wearing all purple satin and leather. Just an amazing outfit. Looks like a comic book villain. So, Hunter doesn't want her
In a lot of ways, she is.
Well, maybe. That's what she was going for. So, Hunter, of course, does not want Stephanie at ringside for his matches. But now he no longer wants her to be at ringside for anyone else's matches either. He knows it's just business. He knows she wants a career, but it's not safe, and he's not there to protect her. And Steph just says, well, I guess we're both going to have to take that risk or something. But if you won't have me out there for your matches, I'm going to find someone who does.
Well, at least they explained that she is a McMahon. This is her business and her life, and that's why she wants to be out there working in the business. Fine. Now, unfortunately, I don't know.
Word.
I was just watching the show, and as the show went on, I just realized it's starting. Like,
Steph?
it's all about these McMahons.
Yes.
I mean,
We're 2 years in.
It started at Mania, but I mean, it's so obvious now. It's like everything they do is to get Stephanie over. And then obviously, like, Hunter's going to marry her, and everything is about getting him over. Everything's been about getting Shane over for a few years. Vince is the only one that just wants to get the hell out of there, but he keeps getting dragged back. And 19 years later, this is what it's become. The only people that they ever try to get over are the McMahons. And they don't try to get over any wrestlers. They're not even trying to get over a Rock anymore. It's just a bunch of geeks under the McMahons. And this is the beginning of it right here. Sad.
So Steph meets with Kurt, which pisses Hunter off, and he wants Steph to leave so he can talk to Kurt alone. Al Snow versus Steve Regal.
I expected this to be better.
So they set this up. This is classic WWF booking, and they've been doing it for the last 20 years now. Al Snow is the European champion. Steven Regal, of course, is European and outraged that a non-European has this belt. So he wants a title shot to put the belt in a European. That's all fine and dandy. How does he earn this shot? He attacks Snow on SmackDown, causing Snow to lose somebody. Then Snow attacks him on Heat, causing him to lose to somebody. And now the two losers are fighting for this belt. That's dumb.
Well, it is really stupid, but I hate to jump ahead, but I just want to make a comment about the main event. The booking of the main event was absolutely perfect. Stephanie came out there, she was with Kurt, and she proved that if she is in his corner, she can help him win, which is the story going into the pay-per-view on Sunday. So, my point is, the big difference between Vince McMahon today and Vince McMahon back then is back then, he at least understood how to do good booking for the main event storylines. The undercard was just like a bunch of crap thrown together and it didn't matter. But like if it was a main event storyline, at least it largely made sense. Now, nothing makes sense. That's the big difference. But yes, this is every stupid WWE booking trope they've ever done.
So the match, as you noted, it was not bad, but boy, was it not effective.
Listen, I'm not a fan of Al Snow, okay? But he's got the potential, I believe, to go in there and have a good match with William Regal.
He should be able to mesh styles with Regal very well.
Somehow, they didn't.
They, instead of doing really cool chain wrestling, they did really terrible brawling. Even the baby.
Even she disagreed with the booking of this right here.
So Al goes for a moonsault. Regal gets the knees up, hooks the Regal stretch, and taps him out. He's the new European champion, and he keeps going back and forth, being very happy to have this belt, and still being very angry at Al and stomping a mud hole in him.
Jim Ross could not believe that William Regal had defeated Al Snow for the European title.
Well, it was only his second match in the WWE since
It's Al Snow.
Understood.
As the champion. I couldn't believe that happened.
His gimmick was Job Squad.
There's that.
Anyone should be the favorite against this guy. So Hunter, to make a long story short, Hunter warns Kurt, if anything happens to Stephanie, I'll kick your ass. And if I think for 1 second your relationship is anything more than business, I'll kick your ass.
Fair.
And Kurt is uncomfortable, and he's backing off, and he's hemming and hawing. And as soon as Hunter leaves, Kurt gets a huge smirk on his face.
God, we're just starting over again.
They do. This is reset everything. Kane walks downstairs. Kane versus Triple H with Chris Benoit on commentary.
Hey, I'll give Triple H this. He had a better match with Kane than Chris Benoit did.
He did. This is a fun little TV match. Kane is monstrous. He grabbed the huge, jacked up bodybuilder Triple H and pressed him over his head.
Yeah, press slam.
Jesus. For reps. He is a monster. He's a big red machine.
Steph is backstage. She says, "This is ridiculous, Kurt."
It's actually hysterical. So Ben was on commentary, running it down everybody. I forget what happens in the ring, but the point is nothing is happening. One guy hits a move, and they're both just lying there for like 4 seconds. And then they cut to the back where Kurt and Steph are both sitting down watching the monitor. And then as one, they leap to their feet, moved by the inaction in the ring. Steph wants to go help Kurt, or help a Hunter.
You know that Benoit's going to get involved. I've got to go to ringside. Like, what are you going to do when Benoit gets involved? Right. You going to stop this? Kurt says, "You got to stay back here. Hunter told me you're my responsibility." She's all aghast looking at the screen, and he's smiling.
So I shared the pic of Kane pressing Hunter high over his head with the referee looking up to the sky where Hunter is up there of the clouds. And I got a lot of feedback from guys saying, and 2 minutes later, Hunter hit his move and won clean.
Close.
You fools! Hunter hit his move and then Benoit attacked for the DQ.
That is what happened.
So there you go.
Hunter had thrown. He dove over the table, took out Benoit. I mean, what you're not pointing out in this match is Hunter is supposed to be a heel, right?
No.
He's a babyface?
I think so.
He's a babyface.
He's actually a babyface.
Yes,
think
you are,
so.
you are supposed to cheer for Triple H right now.
Oh, okay. Well, he worked as a babyface here. So.
Yes.
I had this big long rant about how he's trying to be the top heel and top babyface.
You can save it. That will.
I'm sure it'll come. Yeah.
It will not go to waste. It's just early. And then Benoit beat up Hunter, put him in the crossface. Hunter did tap to the crossface, even if just for the post-match beating.
How is this guy a babyface?
That's a great question.
He's not a hero.
What is likable about this character?
He's
Mean to his wife. He's mean to an Olympian. He's just beats everybody up with his move all the time. I mean, what am I missing here?
How to be a heel 101.
okay. I don't know if I can make this argument because, yes, Brian, he's kind of a dick. That's all still true. But he's a dick to other people who are even bigger dicks.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
He-
He ran over Steve Austin, by the way.
Well, he won't be a babyface then.
Okay.
When that comes up. Speaking of which, Austin goes for a walk, and then Michael Cole interviews Austin.
Hey, Michael Cole was fine here. Why couldn't they just leave him in this role for 20 years?
He was fine until like the third question when Austin was tired of the way he held the mic and yanked it out of his hand and basically stared at him until Cole left.
Well, yeah, that was good.
It was good, actually.
Rid of him.
It worked with Austin. So Austin says he's going to unload 11 months of frustration on Rikishi. It's BS that he needs protection from anyone. Says I got pictures of Rikishi all over my house. When I see Rikishi, I'm looking at a dead man. And Cole asks him, what are you going to do when you have a chance to get in there with Rikishi? And Austin promises, well, I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to arm drag him. I'm not going to drop kick him. I'm not going to do any of that lucha libre crap.
Oh, how dare he?
I was terribly disappointed.
Yeah.
I want to see Austin and Rikishi doing lucha. So Austin yanks the mic and scares Cole away. And he's being great Steve Austin. And we're just running down Rikishi. Everything he's going to do, everything he does to Rikishi is going to be legal. And then Rikishi gets on the screen, and he's great. He says, Austin, Mick Foley told me I can't go in that building, but he didn't say anything about being out here in the parking lot. Right where I ran your ass over. I'll be here all night. If you want some, you can come and get some. And Austin storms out. And up to this point, this has just been great. This was a great segment. And Austin can't find Rikishi. Like Hunter, he's a babyface who's a dick to everyone, grabbing guys and shouting at him, where's Rikishi? They don't know. And as he goes up to the production truck, in the background, you hear an engine rev. A car comes zooming through a bunch of cardboard boxes. Steve Austin has to go jumping into the bed of a truck as the car pulls up right where he had been standing, and tires squeal. Rikishi rolls in the window. He actually is driving the car, and he shouts something about, I'll see your ass on Sunday or whatever, and he peels out again and drives off into the night.
Yeah. I liked it.
I mean, it was good.
He tried to run him over again.
It's not that there was a bad segment. I just can't believe they used a real car with real Steve Austin and a real Rikishi driving it.
Well, yeah.
I'm pretty sure the signal for Austin to get out of the way was the boxes exploding everywhere, but yeah, it could have gone horribly.
Could have gone very badly.
Yeah.
Could have gone very badly.
I've been in a lot of parking garages. I've never seen random cardboard boxes stacked up.
No.
That's kind of weird. I liked it. Rikishi sticking his head out the window, being all cocky. I'll get you next time, Steve.
X-Pac gets a promo. Chris Jericho's a friggin' idiot. Now he's got to deal with another stupid blonde, that big dumb idiot, DX fired. So he calls out Mr. Ass, who comes out in street clothes. Then Eddie Guerrero comes out with his leg mummified. He's limping like hell, but he is able to hit a belt shot of Mr. Ass.
Very important we continue this story.
It's critical. It's critical that this segment go off
This
as
guy
planned.
can't move, but my God, we have to set up Ass versus X-Pac.
He
for
has
Sunday.
to hit Mr. Ass in the head with a belt so that Mr. Ass can wrestle X-Pac for 20 seconds before Chris Jericho attacks.
Yeah.
All of this must be done, Brian.
Yeah.
We're professionals. Everything has to be followed through. So that's what happened. They didn't even have there was a bell to start the match, but no bell to end it.
Still going on today.
Jericho and X-Pac did at least have a cool brawl. Yes, I did get the finish of that written down.
Mr. Ass demands Foley give him a match with X-Pac, and Foley says it's on, no mercy. Was it X-Pac or Jericho? I don't even know. There's 85 people out there. Was it X-Pac?
I thought it was Eddie.
Eddie?
Because X-Pac and Jericho.
So you're telling me that they set up a match for Eddie on Sunday, even though Eddie just ruined his leg?
Yes.
Dude. This is clearly pre-wellness.
Well, I mean, there's many hints at that. Dudley's versus Los Conquistadores.
Oh, God. Here was another one. They're getting the heat on Devon
See, okay.
for 1,000 years.
They showed a clip from Heat where Edge and Christian were wrestling Too Cool when they were distracted by Los Conquistadors so Too Cool could win. And Edge and Christian were very frustrated they had been distracted. But hey, this proved they were different people.
Sure.
So this is a joke gimmick. This is a joke match. And for a joke match, this went way too long.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the idea is that Edge and Christian can't get a title shot ever again. So I guess they're trying to work their way up the ladder as the Conquistadors so that they can win the tag team titles again. That's the story here. Why they had to get the heat on Devon for 3 hours?
I don't know.
On a show that had an overrun that didn't need it? I have no earthly idea. And Bubba got a hot tag, big pop, went to unmask a Conquistador, the other one cradled him and pinned him. Conquistadors on a winning streak after all these years.
They are. I like when the Dudleys went for the "was up" drop. And Jim Ross says, how do you say "was up" in Spanish? It's que pasa, everybody.
Jerry
Answers,
Lawler
que pasa.
made every racist Mexican joke
What?
I think there's ever been during this match. And Jim Ross, his disgust was palpable with everything that Jerry Lawler said. As a Mexican, I laughed this whole match.
I had forgotten how shiny the Conquistadors were. They're very shiny. Like a treasure from a sunken pirate wreck.
I like their little walk that they come down to the ring with.
It's kind of bushwhackery.
Yeah,
Not
yeah, exactly.
They're committed to the gimmick.
Yes.
Because as soon as they get that schoolboy, the ref counts 3, they march to the back.
Yes, they got beaten, or they won, and they were beaten up, and still managed to pull off the walk to the back.
The Rock is hanging out backstage. Road Dogg versus Val Venus.
Oh my God, an hour of rest holds.
Road Dogg says he has as an American, he has certain rights, including the right to kick Val's ass.
That's not a right.
Which amendment is that, guys?
That is not
I've forgotten.
an unalienable
It's
right.
at the end.
In the fine print.
Question: is DX still a thing anymore?
That's
Because
a great question.
X-Pac has his DX gear. Road Dogg has his DX gear. He goes through this whole spiel.
It's vintage.
Triple H is Triple H. Billy Gunn is not DX
There's no
anymore.
DX right now.
There's not.
But-
X-Pac and Road Dogg just have the same music
And the gear
and the logo
and the glow sticks and everything else.
and X-shaped pyro.
Right.
And cross drops.
So
Well, my guess is that X-Pac isn't going to sell a lot of merchandise unless it's DX merchandise, so they just kept the gimmick on him.
it's fair.
Anyway, yeah, so it went for like an hour. Naked Minion arrived. Road Dogg thought it was funny, but because he thought it was funny, he was distracted, and Val hit him with a nut shot and pinned him.
Irony.
Stephanie gives Kurt a pep talk, tells him to focus. Then Steph introduces Kurt as the guest host of Heat, who will interview The Rock on Heat and then beat him on the pay-per-view. And Angle does a promo bragging about his accomplishments and talking about Rikishi running over Austin. And then it's time for our main event. Kurt Angle and Edge and Christian versus The Rock and the Hardys. The first time we've had a long, good match with good heat all night. It's just a good TV match.
I got a question. How long does this Stephanie thing where she's managing Kurt Angle go? It's not long, right?
I don't think much longer.
Okay. I don't know when they kill it, but I do know this. When they first showed up at the beginning of the show and I said, go away, get off my TV, I never want to see you two again. They came out for this promo, and don't get me wrong, this was not a blowaway promo, okay? But they had something together.
Uh-oh.
Kurt was being all wacky. She'd throw in some comments. They actually played off each other very well. They had a charisma together. I enjoyed the little interview that they did at the beginning of this match. And as soon as I realized that, I realized this ain't lasting 2 weeks.
I don't think it does.
They're going to kill this dead. I'll bet you anything this was why. I bet Hunter was watching this and he was
Sure.
like, this has got to end. Because they were good together. She was better with him than she was with the Hunter in his segments. And she was better with him than she was by herself. Like, they were good together.
Hey, Hunter's no dummy, and he knows how relationships, when they go to angles, they always end up breaking up. You know what I mean?
We'll see how long this lasts.
Right.
She does lead him to the title.
So there's a bunch of stuff going on within the ring. Lita hits a big diving Rana on somebody, so Kurt pulls her out of the ring. Stephanie posts her.
No, so it was one of the other booking things I was talking about. They get the heat on Matt for 5 years, and every time he's almost there, the heels cheat to prevent him from making the tag. Mm-hmm. That's why Lita cheats to put one over on the heels. So it wasn't just like the woman manager just doing something for the hell of it like they do nowadays. Like, there was a reason she did it. She was fed up with them cheating. So then I noticed, of course, that once she does that, they have to have Stephanie post her and lay her out. Because it's all about Steph.
Yes.
And then they do the big comeback. And
So Rock gets the hot tag. The best part, and it occurred to me watching this, that I have seen this in 1,000 matches, but it's the best part of every match. Kurt gets the tag seconds before Rock gets the hot tag. And as Kurt is in the ring, Rock tags in, and Kurt has a reaction.
yes.
A negative reaction.
Yes.
A panic attack.
He puts his hands up, he takes 2 steps back, and then he starts to run and gets hit.
He goes backwards, he like shakes his arms and head in fear, and then charges. It's like something out of a Godzilla movie.
Yeah, and it's great.
And because it's WWF, it's always shot from the exact same back angle, so you never see his face, which actually makes it funnier. It's all in body language. And I can't wait to watch this over and over again. So, big comeback. Everybody's flying around doing stuff. All 6 dudes and both women, I think, get involved. And finally, Rock has Kurt pinned. The champion has his challenger pinned with a rock bottom, but Stephanie, the ref is distracted. Stephanie breaks at the pin, so Rock goes after her. He gets double teamed. A bunch of other stuff happens. Jeff goes up top. Jeff Galulis him with a crowbar to the knee. He falls down, and Kurt pins him with an angle slam. So the challenger wins via cheating.
Thanks to Stephanie.
And just in case this all wasn't perfect enough as the go-home segment for the go-home main event, The Rock lays out both Edge and Christian to stand triumphant and remind you all he is still the dude until proven otherwise. And Rock and Angle shout at each other, and the show goes off the air.
You know, I can't help but notice that many times we have reviewed a show, and when it was over, we've said, that was the go-home show.
Yes.
Well, lo and behold, the pay-per-view has Stephanie McMahon leading Kurt Angle to the WWE title. And lo and behold, they have a well-booked, excellent go-home show to that match.
Sure.
Wow.
Good.
Yeah, the last thing you see is Rock standing tall in the ring and Angle and Stephanie arm in arm going up the ramp.
Yeah.
Are you ready for your music, Vinny?
As ready as I shall ever be.
All right, here we go.
The finishes on this show were ref stoppage due to injury, clean pin in a terrible tag match, clean submission, no finish in an impromptu challenge match that went 20 seconds and I don't know why they even bothered, clean pin in a tag match, pin after distraction and ball shot, and pin after interference with crowbar.
Shazam. There you go.
WCW Monday Nitro, also October 16th of the year 2000.
Do you remember last week when we watched that show from Australia and we said, my God, they need to just stay in Australia. Mm-hmm. What a crowd they've got. Oh, the booking is better. The wrestling is better. The crowd is better. They couldn't even stay there for 2 weeks without having a horrible show. This show sucked.
Russo's gone, but yet there was some really, really stupid stuff on this. But all in all, it was just really boring.
No, it started boring and ended horrible.
I had 4 cups of coffee to stay awake watching
The last half hour or so of the show, and especially the main event, dear God, can this place die already? I got too much wrestling to watch. I need to start getting rid of some shows. I want to watch NWA Power and AEW Dark. Instead, I watched 4 hours of this crap today, 2 of which was this stupid show.
You better watch that AEW Dark. Whew.
God almighty, this show.
We open with a rematch between the Boogie Knights and Mark Jindrak and Sean O'Hare. So the Knights cut a promo.
Was Alex Wright cutting a promo in English or German?
It was German.
Was it? Because I heard an English word, and then I thought that he cut the whole thing in English. I just couldn't understand him.
Got the promo in German.
Okay.
Disco then translated.
I see.
He says, the titles are on the line tonight. The natural-born thrillers are banned from ringside. And Mike Sanders cannot interfere.
What he actually said was, Mike Sanders cannot interfere because the decision will be final.
Okay.
What he was trying to say is that Mike...
Disco translated for Alex. Brian, please translate for Disco.
What he was trying to say is that Mike Sanders cannot come out and reverse the decision.
As commissioner.
The referee's decision was final.
I'm actually really glad you explained it.
I actually don't blame Disco, because this company is so stupid that they probably told him what to say, and he was probably baffled trying to figure out what they were talking about, and just stumbled out this comment.
So the Boogie Nights are trying to be baby faces here, but the crowd just hates Disco.
Which was funny because last week they loved him, and they went crazy when they won.
It did.
Now they hate him.
That's a different part of the country.
It's a big country. Mark Jindrak does this ridiculous leap from the mat to the top rope to do a top rope Rana, and Tony Schiavone is the only announcer who even notices. Mm-hmm. This was sick. So Alex is on the top rope when he gets a hot tag, and the announcers spend a long time debating whether or not this is fair. The ref gets kicked. Disco hits the chart buster.
Excuse me, did you say a ref bump?
I did.
Okay.
Should we keep a tally?
I've already started.
All right. Chronic attacks as I've lost track of what side they're on now, but O'Hare hits the senton and gets the pin.
Chronic are heels.
I think so.
They've just
They're
inexplicably...
clearly heels on this show, and they were probably heels last week too, but there was never a reason.
See, the difference is I can at least tell myself, we don't watch Thunder, so maybe they turned on Thunder. Unlike WWE Today, where the Kabuki Warriors are just heels, and I watch every show,
Yes.
and so I know there was no turn, there may have been a Chronic turn, but they are definitely heels.
So Mike Sanders and Kevin Nash and the Natural Born Thrillers are having a chat, and Nash sends them to go do something. I don't even know what he told them to
Let me handle this, okay?
do. His end is the only thing that matters.
Nash tells them to go tell Shat that he's done with this. He's done with Sting. And Nash makes sure to tell Sanders, I'm hung over. Mm-hmm. I don't want to work tonight.
Fair.
Okay. So Goldberg arrives, and then Sanders meets with Shat. And the first thing Sanders says is, I want Sting versus Nash tonight. Shat says, I'll make it, and I'll make it a lumberjack match. So the first thing I think is, did Kevin Nash not say, I don't want to work tonight?
Those were his exact words.
Okay. So then the announcers are like, didn't Nash say he didn't want to work tonight?
They are also correct.
Mm-hmm. Did I miss a segment on the show where this was explained? Because I don't remember seeing it.
No.
Maybe Sanders is trying to undermine Kevin Nash, and we just don't know it.
Well, it would have
But
been.
Nash never even got mad about being booked in a match.
That's the problem with that theory, because that's what I thought was happening.
Okay.
But we see Nash later; he just doesn't care. So they just forgot it in the space of one commercial break.
Yikes.
Also, this show was censored beyond belief.
Right?
It was very strange.
Everyone got bleeped for everything. There were random circular gray spots in the crowd at points where I assume there were middle fingers. But
Okay,
what
the
I'm
only
guessing.
thing that I can figure is that if you recall, before the network, they had WWE Classics on Demand.
Yes.
Okay. They powerfully edited those shows.
This must have been one of those.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is because they edited Shane Douglas's music out.
Dude, there's
They had a giant blur over God only knows what. They bleeped so many interviews that I have no idea what half the people said on this show.
half of this show was silent.
Yes.
This is WCW before the talkies. They should have just had the organ music playing in the background.
And like the video was really bad too.
Well, it was because it was from
Australia.
Australia.
Gotcha.
So, with that said, Kat called them something. It got bleeped, so I don't know.
It was funnier that it got bleeped because then my mind could wander.
That's probably. Let's just leave it at that. My mind wandered.
Unnecessary censorship.
Yes. Team Canada comes out for a promo. Lance buries cricket and Australian accents. The crowd tells him he is a wanker.
They didn't bleep that.
And they not believe the crowd saying wanker. Lance had a reputation for like being overly stuffy, right? Not.
Yeah.
They ever watch Lance Storm do a double take when the Canadian anthem gets
the
interrupted?
best.
It's the same thing every week, and it's awesome every week.
Bug eyes.
It's the
The head jerk.
a
Twice.
legit double take.
His character thinks maybe this week no one's going to interrupt that anthem.
Yeah.
And every time.
Hope springs eternal in Canada.
Yes.
So MIA interrupts, and they come out waving the American flag in Melbourne, Australia. So neither team was light. So it's Team Canada versus MIA. General Erection is not in the match, but he immediately comes running out through the crowd and attacks Lance. Why didn't they just put him in the match?
Dude, he attacks Lance right in front of the referee. It should be a clear DQ.
For a moment, because it was outside, so in my head I was thinking, well, clearly the ref's just watching the match in the ring.
No.
Then the ref jumps out on the floor and tries to separate them.
So Lance got beaten on by an extra man.
Right.
Huge Erection gets ejected. I almost said it. And then Wall goes for the choke slam, and Lance takes out his knee, which leads to heat on Elix, who is a heel. I was like, what is going on? He makes hot tag to Lance, who then cuts off Chavo, and they get the heat on him.
And the best part, the heel team, Hacksaw Jim Duggan yelling, "Ho!" And everybody call and response the whole time. He's just eating it up like a baby face.
Then we get the second ref bump in 2 matches.
I can't believe we're talking this much about
We're
this
2
match.
for 2. Elix bumps off the apron through a table. Major Gunn throws a table in the ring. Lance drop kicks a chair into Cajun's head. Cajun kicks out.
That's not the finish.
And then Lance puts him in a crab and wins clean.
Yes. Convoluted.
Okay, here's the kicker.
You did a ref bump and a chair shot drop kick to the head, but the finish was a clean crab. And it's not even like he kicked out of the chair shot and then they did the crab. He kicked out of the chair shot, then Cajun cradles Lance Storm. Lance kicks out and then he does the crab.
Here's the kicker to all of this. It took less than 3 minutes.
Right.
They're just out there running as fast as they can to get all this crap in.
So we could get a shot of Sting arriving.
Shane Douglas comes out for a promo. He's bleeped.
What'd he say?
Whatever he said about Conan got bleeped. I don't know. He issued a challenge. Okay, did anyone else know what match he was challenging them to?
He was challenging them to a 2-on-1 match.
He challenged the Filthy Animals to a match, and next thing I know, I'm not making this up. This is the match that is going on in the ring. Shane Douglas by himself versus Conan and Rey Mysterio Jr. and Tigress.
Yes.
3-on-1.
They destroy him for a while.
But it's a plot.
Until he pulls out Mace and maces them, and Tori throws Tigress into the barricade, and Shane's using a chain. It's a disqualification. And the storyline is Shane set a trap for the baby faces, and they're all so dumb they fell for it.
Yeah, and then Stevie Ray in commentary goes, "Was this a setup, Tony?"
Call it a hunch.
Detective Stevie on the case.
They handcuff Conan to the ropes. Douglas grabs Ray, tombstones him in front of Conan. It was actually, I will admit, a pretty good heat angle.
The angle,
Of course, it led to Goldberg versus Douglas on this show, if I recall correctly. No. Who did he wrestle? Didn't he wrestle somebody in this?
Shane wrestles later. We'll get to it. So, speaking of things we missed, why are Chuck Palumbo and Sean Stasiak mad at each other now?
Well, I just presume Thunder.
Okay. They're bickering for some reason. Nash orders them to shake
But I
hands.
would like to know, why are Mike Awesome and Crowbar those 70 guys now?
That is a good question.
I don't even remember Crowbar as a 70s guy.
I don't. So,
The crowbar
He couldn't be
needed a-
Frobar.
Excuse me?
actually, no, Brian.
Well, I know he couldn't, but
Booker T arrives.
He could be low bar. And
not the
do everything
Fro,
really badly.
Afro, 70s, Frobar.
I know, I hear you.
Why'd I have to explain my jokes on this show?
I don't know.
Booker T arrives at the building. Rey Mysterio is loaded into an ambulance. Billy Kidman is there now. He's friends with the animals again. The Perfect Event versus Mike Awesome and Crowbar.
Dead crowd. They're deader than doornails.
Nash is on commentary, and his only purpose in life is to make himself laugh.
Yeah.
So he's just making the same jokes over and over again, overreacting to everything.
Stevie Ray says Chuck Palumbo was a top 10 wrestler in WCW.
Even
That's what he said.
Tony's like, Chuck Palumbo?
Stevie's whole argument is, well, he's wrestled guys like Goldberg. It's like he got killed.
So Crowbar and Awesome is a team. Crowbar and Mike Awesome. They're basically giant, slow, clumsy young bucks. They do 7,000 moves. They do a bunch of dives. They do every finish on Earth. And eventually, Stasiak accidentally punches Palumbo, and Awesome does some stuff and pins Stasiak with a top rope splash.
That's what happened. It was not bad,
So afterwards,
but it was not good, and it was too long. It was the state of WCW in late 2000. Boring.
So Palumbo and Stasiak have another argument afterwards, and their shoving match and Kevin Nash pushing them apart was like the best physical action on the whole show.
And it got the biggest pop of anything in the
And
match.
he got the biggest pop. And then Nash made them hug.
Do you want to know why it got such a great reaction?
Because there's big scary dudes fighting?
No, because at least the fans knew that Perfect Event were supposed to be partners, but they were having some problems. So there was at least a story that people could wrap their heads around when they started fighting each other. Nobody has any idea why Awesome is with Crowbar or why Awesome and Crowbar are wrestling the Perfect Event. So nobody cared.
Pamela interviews Shane Douglas, who challenged Booker T to a
That's
title match
right.
tonight. Yes.
Yeah.
And then Tori called Pam something, and I can't tell you what it was because it got bleeped.
I'll bet this did huge numbers.
I can guess.
Championship match here.
David Flair confronts Mike Sanders. I simply wrote, "This promo is awful."
This was just classic. He says, I got a favor to ask. I want Buff Bagwell at Halloween Havoc in a DNA match.
Yes.
Sanders says,
Yeah, I don't want to see it either.
he says, you got it. So David leaves, and
Well, it starts to leave.
Tony Schiavone says, what in the world is a DNA match?
Fair.
I mean, their idea is, we're going to do a match, and you're going to pay $29.95 or $34.95 to find out what a DNA match is.
I mean, when I hear DNA match, I think that they've
He
matched-
found his sister?
he found evidence and that they're going to prove this guy was at the crime scene or something. So somehow beating him in a match will prove he's the father. I don't know.
You.
I don't know. I didn't book it. Don't get mad at me.
I honestly don't know what the DNA match is. Should I look it up?
No, I'd rather be surprised.
We're not going to watch the pay-per-view.
Well, no, we'll see. There's 2 or 3 weeks before then. See if they explain it on the show.
All right, well, I'm going to look it up.
All right. So Sanders tells Flair to take a seat. Queewee versus Johnny
Well,
the
it
Bull.
happens.
You better take the safe search off there. Go ahead.
Now he's read it. I want to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, what is it?
No, I'm not going to read it. I'm just saying the match actually took place.
Okay. Queewee versus Johnny the Bull. Stevie Ray is on commentary. And Stevie Ray's word for...
God.
I should have just waited.
I'm not saying anything. Go ahead.
Don't you want to hear now, Vince? I know you do, because I do.
Okay. So are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Hang on. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So the story is that David wants Bagwell to take a DNA test.
Sure.
Okay. So to get the DNA,
Right.
Hold it. Hang on.
Sit down.
it's not what you think, but it is bad.
Young children, you should stop the show right now.
It is a first blood match,
Okay.
so he can collect his blood to get a DNA test done.
That's stupid.
So Stevie Ray, whenever there's a woman he does not like around, and as far as I can tell, that's all women.
Everyone, yeah.
He calls him a yak. And Paisley, he can't help but note, is the worst yak of them all.
Oh, he's in for it.
Which I thought was
I
funny.
like this guy. Is this Queewee versus Johnny the Bull?
It is.
This poor Johnny the Bull, coming back from a torn urethra, takes
Yes.
a monkey flip
Yes, Rob, he tore
in
his
the
urethra.
first spot of the match and breaks his ankle.
Yes.
Queewee pins him.
Again,
That's 2 on one night.
Yes.
and that didn't occur to me until hours later. But yes, there were 2 matches, one on each show,
I remember this now.
that ended in 20 seconds due to injuries on monkey flips.
It was a running joke for a while that
Monkey
the most
flips.
dangerous move in professional wrestling was the monkey flip.
I just thought it was funny, Brian, that Stevie called Paisley the worst yak of them all because she's his future sister-in-law.
Right.
That's true.
That's the funny part. So it's not enough that Johnny the Bull breaks his ankle on a monkey flip. Here's clips of Johnny the Bull breaking his ankle in slow-mo over and over again from multiple angles. This poor guy.
It's not as bad.
Yeah,
as,
but you know what? If I broke my ankle in a match, like, you may as well get the most out of it. You can replay that 50 times.
It's not as bad as Sid coming off the top
No.
by any means, but
No.
I don't want to see that.
It's his foot goes in the way feet are not supposed to go. He's clearly in agony. He's on agony on the stretcher being dragged out. This is no good. Cat comes out for a promo. He calls Madden a fat ass for literally no reason.
Running joke.
He calls out Sanders. Accepts a match for Halloween Havoc. So I think Sanders, whatever. They're going back and forth. Chronic comes out. Sanders says, kick his ass.
The match at Halloween Havoc has the commissionership on the line. Yes.
So Chronic heads to the ring to kick Cat's ass when Goldberg's music hits, and Sanders runs to join them. That was funny. Goldberg ends up coming through the crowd, I think, to join Cat in the ring. Mm-hmm. So Goldberg and Chronic are cutting promos on each other. And Chronic says, we beat people up for free. And in Vegas, we can make some big money because we're all about breaking necks and cashing checks.
I loved when Adam Bomb says, Adam Bomb, one half of Chronic. Chronic! He says, the problem with this business is when the wrestlers start believing their own hype. I almost died.
So they go back and forth for a while. Goldberg eventually promises they are both next, and security separates everyone. Booker T goes for a walk. Sanders tells David Flair to come with him. And then we got Shane Douglas versus Booker T with Scott Steiner on commentary on this show.
Which means we heard nothing but
This
dead
show
air.
is silent. This match is just complete silence. I kept checking my speakers to make sure I not accidentally muted them.
Well, there was one line that I heard. It actually wasn't lewd. It was Scott Steiner explaining that Stevie Ray is not really Booker's brother.
Right.
Because Stevie's last name is Ray,
Yes.
and Booker's last name is T.
Right. Some logic there.
He also claimed one was from Poughkeepsie and the other was from Harlem.
Now, this match was not terrible, but I can sum up the entire match in one call from Tony Schiavone when he said, and I quote, another neck vice. We had so many neck vices in this stupid match. And I don't even know why he's working over Booker T's neck.
Steiner
I don't know what his
mentioned this.
neck has to do with anything.
Steiner is pointing out he's got a bad knee. Douglas is an idiot. He should be attacking the knee.
Yes.
The other thing Scott Steiner said,
Steiner's a college graduate.
he mentioned that here, University of Michigan. Steiner is bleeped and bleeped and bleeped and bleeped and bleeped. And finally, somebody's talking about how tough Medeja is, and they say she could beat Booker's ass or Shane Douglas's ass. I bet Steiner she could even beat your ass. And there's a pause, and Steiner chuckles and says, I gotta keep it clean.
Why start now?
So let me go through the end of this match.
I'm glad you will.
Thank
I don't
you.
want to.
So Booker makes a comeback. He goes up top. Then he changes his mind and comes down. Tori wraps a chain around Douglas's fist. Kidman runs down to stop it. Kidman is shoved into Medeja. Douglas hits the punch, but the cameras miss it, and Booker kicks out. Steiner goes after Kidman. Conan runs down to the ring. Jarrett runs down to the ring. Booker somehow hits the bookend on Douglas and pins him. Okay, I hated this with every ounce of my being, but fans went crazy. They're jumping up and down. They're cheering. They're pumping their fists in the air. And I was like, fine. I hated it, but it must have been good.
Without going back, everyone, just based on what Bryan just said, just try to name everyone who got involved. And it's not like he was going any faster than it actually unfolded on TV.
No.
There
You
was
know what?
97 people involved in all this.
And you know what? If you're gonna do this, spoiler, do it once on the show.
That's a strong point.
Okay.
That is a strong point. So Pam goes to interview Jarrett and Steiner and Medeja. Medeja is cutting a promo on Billy Kidman in Spanish, and she got bleeped.
It's one of the better promos on the show, actually.
It really was.
Sure it was. Steiner gets bleeped. Jarrett gets bleeped. He threatened to attack somebody with a guitar.
Well, Steiner challenged Kidman to a match and said, I'm going to crush you, and that's all I needed to see. And they delivered.
David Flair is in the ring. Ric Flair comes out, ignores him, goes to the announce desk. The match. David Flair's surprise opponent is Goldberg.
Yes.
Everyone leaps to their feet to watch the wolf slaughter this lamb. They get what they want. They get their slaughter. This is a perfect segment.
Yeah, and then Flair gets up from commentary after admitting he's fine with David getting killed by Goldberg. He starts walking towards the ring. He begins to walk up the steps, and they cut to Pamela, and we never see him again. What?
I don't know. This was not a good show.
I guess he was just there for the live crowd.
Kidman says, Steiner is not... This is what Kidman says, everybody. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. Okay. Prior to Kidman versus Steiner, this little twerp says, Steiner is not as big and bad. I'm not as big and bad as he is, but I'm one tough little bastard. They go to the ring.
Should also add that Conan accepted Shane's challenge and Jarrett's challenge, although at the time I was not sure which was for tonight and which was for Halloween Havoc.
And Kidman also noted that he was in the Filthy Animals now.
They're back.
Said they were tight as Pamela's top.
Yes.
He said.
Scott Steiner beat the ass out of his ass.
Okay.
Just ruined him, pummeled him, ruined him, and then submitted him.
It's Kidman if you're not paying
That
attention
was
to
the
him.
match.
It was a WCW Saturday Night Squash.
Kidman is supposed to be the babyface. Do I have this right?
I believe so.
Okay, he's the babyface.
Seeking revenge while out here. But
Steiner's the heel.
Yes.
Okay, so the babyface messed with the heel's woman.
Yes.
The heel vowed revenge. The babyface talked a bunch of crap and then got mutilated?
Yes.
That's what happened.
Exactly
Okay.
how it went.
Okay.
Now, I do want to note that even in the slaughter, we learned that not even Big Papa Pump can powerbomb Kidman.
That's right.
True.
That made me laugh. Steiner hit 97 moves in a row, tried one powerbomb, got face busted, and hit 97 more moves in a row and won.
Loved it.
It was awesome.
It
Cathartic, I wrote. I don't even know why. I think just a whole week of WWE. It's made me feel so much better.
Well, you know what?
He's a producer there. He's responsible for some of this that we see.
Okay.
The word cathartic is good. Wrestling should be that sometimes.
Yeah.
You live vicariously through the man on screen beating up somebody.
I lived vicariously
so you
through
don't
Scott
beat up
Steiner
your
here.
boss or your neighbor or whatever.
Or Kidman.
Or Billy Kidman.
Yes, I've often wanted to beat a small man half to death.
Jeff Jarrett versus Conan.
May I run over this stupid match? Tigress hits the ring to attack Jarrett. Not a DQ. Douglas runs down, grabs Tigress. Not a DQ. Jarrett hits Tigress with a guitar. Not a DQ. Jarrett hits Conan with the stroke for the pin. Okay, everybody that wants us to watch Impact and TNA,
Right.
no.
Right.
I am not watching another decade of Jeff Jarrett matches. I will not. I'll quit first.
I want to just read my one sentence. I guess it's technically two sentences that I wrote about this match. Conan does an Assalanche, and now Tigress and Shane and Tori are out there, and Jarrett guitars Tigress and pins Conan with a stroke as shards of a guitar and an unconscious woman are in the ring. That was one sentence, and then my second sentence is just, Lord.
Okay.
Sting is watching this and is as disgusted as we are.
Before we get into the next segment here. So, when I was a kid, I loved Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Everyone did.
Yeah, just the best.
Does.
You know, Mr. Rogers, he'd put on his sweater, and then there would be the land of make-believe and a puppet show. Mm-hmm. And then Mr. Rogers would go somewhere.
Sure.
He'd go to the dairy farm, or he'd go to the post office, and he'd show you all of the machines and how everything worked. And one time, he even, and as a child, I didn't like this. This was blatant kayfabe breaking. He took us behind the scenes of the neighborhood of make-believe.
Oh, man.
Didn't like that. No buys. Anyway, I'm watching this show. They're in Australia.
It's time for a field trip.
It's just a bunch of stupid wrestling and stupid angles and stupid bleeped promos, bad booking, and just every stupid thing that you can hate about wrestling. And all of a sudden, in the middle of this show, Tony's like, let's go to footage of Kevin Nash visiting a local beer factory. Mm-hmm. A brewery. Excuse me?
Why not?
We go on a field trip to a brewery where they're just like brewing beer, and Nash is looking at all the machines going, cool.
On your markets.
And then they have some sort of Nash brew or something like that. And then we go back to Nash versus Sting in a lumberjack match where he's top heel again. What in God's name was this?
Well, an Australian beer company started marketing Big Sexy Brew with 4 X's so they could copyright it.
Wow.
They put his name and his picture on the label, and then he got a free plug here on this television show.
Cunning.
Now I want to correct one thing Brian said. This is not in the middle of the show.
At the end.
This is to build to the main event. So the main event is Sting versus Kevin Nash in a lumberjack match. Where, by the way, I will also, one other thing to credit the show, the very first thing Kevin Nash said in the show was he was hungover.
Yes.
Well, now we know why.
Sure.
It's been a whole day at the brewery the day before.
Fair.
So they start wrestling. Nash takes over from the get-go. Stevie notes that Sting must have been distracted. Maybe one of the yaks raised her skirt. So Sting does a dropkick. Kevin Nash does a tremendous bump over the top rope to the floor, where the Misfits in Action and Mike Awesome, all of whom I thought were babyfaces, all put their boots to him. Terrible lumberjacks. They throw him in. The match
Who did you think were baby faces?
Misfits in Action and Mike Awesome.
They are.
Then why do they stomp this guy as soon as he got thrown outside? That's not how a lumberjack match is supposed to work.
Well, I mean, we got bigger problems, Vinny.
We might. So, much to my shock, Kevin Nash is actually still able to get into the Scorpion at this point. But
Did you even mention the ref bump in a lumberjack match?
I haven't gotten there yet. So
You haven't?
no, because first,
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Nash got pulled out of the Scorpion by the Thrillers. The match goes on for a while. Steiner runs in out of nowhere. He attacks Booker T. All the lumberjacks get in a giant fight, and conveniently they all brawl to the back. And then, yes, Brian, the referee gets bumped. A bunch of shit happens. I didn't bother writing any of it down. All I know is the ref is down. Nash is in the corner. Jarrett is on the stairs in the corner, hiding behind Nash.
Well, he's big.
He is big, sexy, after all. And Sting goes for the Stinger Splash when Jarrett pops up from behind Nash like Michael Myers with a guitar instead of a knife. And he breaks the guitar over Sting's head in midair, and Nash gets the pin.
Can we add that I'm pretty sure the ref was still unconscious when Jeff Jarrett was hiding?
Oh, yeah, the ref was barely conscious when he was counting the 3.
Well, that's the best part. So they do the guitar shot. Kevin Nash covers Sting. Charles Robinson groggily crawls over, and he goes, 1, 2. He stops. Sting just lays there, and Charles Robinson looks at him, and apparently realizes that was a finish. And so he hits the mat a third time 5 minutes later and rings the bell. Could they possibly have screwed anything more up on this show?
It was a bad show.
Well, it was a finish. I mean,
I'll be honest, I did not realize live how bad this was, because it's still much better than most Russo shows, but it's a very bad show.
This was a very bad show.
It's a very bad show.
Very bad. And it was mostly like the second half. The first half was just boring. The second half was monstrously bad. All right, you ready?
Let's get out of here.
The finishes on this show were...
Pin after interference. Submission after one dude goes through a table and another gets hit with a chair, but neither of those is the finish. DQ in a 3-on-1 intergender handicap match. Clean pin. Clean pin after a guy breaks his leg on a monkey flip. Pin in a world title match after 4 men and 2 women get involved. Clean pin. Clean submission. Pin after interference from a man and 2 women and a guitar. And in the main event, pin in a lumberjack match after a battle royal breaks out and one dude gets hit with a guitar.
Wasn't sure you were going to make it.
That
I was like Charles Robinson there.
That was fantastically awkward timing.
A little bit of dead air, and then we just keep going.
Just enough to make the joke, and once the joke was over, we win it.
All right, everybody, we're done. Who's going to NXT on Friday?
As far as I know.
Everybody?
I'd like to.
Rob doesn't know for sure. All right, well, we're going to be at NXT on Friday, everybody. So if you're going to the show in Seattle, we'll see you there.
Big Defy show the next night as well.
There's a very big Defy show with Filthy Tom the next night. I may go to that one as well.
You should. Fatu against Amazing Red.
That's coming up this weekend. And then I'll be back tomorrow with Dave for the Wednesday show, Observer Live. Vinny and I Thursday for the Wednesday Night Wars. Tuesday through Thursday, the best time to be a wrestling fan.